The views and opinions of this podcast do not reflect the views and opinions of the United States government, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, the United States Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or any private, municipal, county, or state firefighting organization, any law enforcement agency, any medical provider, or any contractor employed by any federal agency.
Good girl. All right, guys. We're going to talk about, this is a cool episode. I'm not going to lie. So, I shot JK Boots a message on Instagram, and they're like, hell yeah, let's talk boots. So, we're going to cover some topics like the construction of boots. We're going to talk about maintenance of boots. And we're going to talk about arguably the most hotly debated topic of boots. Breaking them in. So, ladies and gentlemen, and dog playing with their toy, whatever. Welcome to another episode of Anchor Point with JK Boots. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Anchor Point. Today on the show, I have Tim and Will from JK Boots out of Spokane, Washington. And we're going to answer some dying questions today. Especially that burning question about how the hell do you break in your boots? Dude, I swear to God, I hear this question more times than I ever want to. Especially being in fire for 11 years. We need to settle this question. But we'll settle that question later. So, tell me about yourself, man. Tell me about you guys, what you guys do.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start. So my name's Tim. So I'm the youngest brother here of the crew here at JK Boots. So yeah, we're bootmakers. It all started from our dad many years ago. He started back overseas. When he was like 14 or 15, he was tanning leather and doing all that kind of stuff. And just as he got older, he kind of got into bootmaking. From tanning leather, he got into bootmaking, and he was doing it. And then some time went by, and it's a whole big long story. I guess we got time though, right? So,
dude, we got tons of time. You can take as long or as short as you want, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, he was making boots overseas and doing all that stuff. And after he got married, to my mom, they were living in, I already forget what country, and then there was a civil war that broke out. We're talking in the 90s, already. The Soviet Union's falling apart because he was from Europe. And that was, the Soviet Union fell apart, and they had a way to come into the States, and so, that's what happened. So he came here, and on his way, of all the towns that he could have come to, he came to Spokane, which is, one of the bootmaking capitals here in the country. And so when he came here, another boot company guy had heard about him, and that he was coming, and kind of, it's almost like his legend got here before he did.
Uh-huh.
And he was working there for a little bit, but then as soon as he got on his feet, he opened up his own thing right away. And 15, 20 years later, here we are. And so he trained us all up, all three brothers, and I actually have two. So there's three of us. So I have two older brothers, and he trained us all up, man. And now we all work together. We're all grown up, and here we are. So it's good. And that's just kind of a little bit of our history. But yeah, we try to keep family together, and it's family owned and operated from the beginning. So that's just kind of a short version.
Nice. So you guys have been in the bootmaking for how many years did you say?
So let me think here. Like I said, my dad's been doing it since. Probably he's been doing it 30, 35 years total, I would say. Officially, our start date of business, I don't even remember off the top of my head. I want to think it was 2006 or 2005. Damn,
that's a long time making boots, man.
Yeah, so quite a while. Well, we like it, so we stick with it.
Well, it's cool. It's a family-owned business, and what? How big is it? Like, it's always hard to tell how big a business is just based off of a social media platform.
Yeah, I'm just really good at social media. No, yeah. So it's so yeah, we're a family. We're a family. So it's my parents, my two older brothers, myself. My middle brother actually just got married. So his wife helps out every now and then with what she can, and then we just have one more family friend who also works with us. So that's the crew right there. So whenever you call, I think it was a 6 or 7. Whenever you call, you're getting one of us. And so yeah, that's it. That's the whole JK Boots team crew right there.
No shit. So that's cool though,
Yeah.
because like usually if you have like a mass production, like mass scale operation going, your quality kind of diminishes. At least, I don't know. I guess I like the handcrafted personal kind of product. So I always appreciate that.
You know, that's I hear that a lot too. From my perspective, I feel like the more that the company grows, if anything, it should get better. You've got a bigger team, better team, and everything. So, just as we, as we've been going along, we always just kind of have that one rule that above all, it's quality. We manage everything, we look over everything, and we're just on top of everything. We're just good at what we do, and so we just keep doing it. So, sometimes people will, say that, oh, make sure, don't get too big and whatnot. We're focused on one thing. That's just doing a good job, building a good pair of boots, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's important to grow as a company, of course. I mean, you got to grow, or else it gets harder to pay the bills. But you guys came from humble roots, and it
Absolutely.
sounds like you guys are going to keep that same humble process throughout the entire thing with quality and craftsmanship. So
Absolutely.
that's excellent, man.
100%. It's kind of a pride thing too. Our image, our logo is so it's JK Boots. That's my dad's initials. So it's every pair of boots is going out with our dad's initials on them, and so it's everything matters. We want to do the best job because it's our name, it's our family, and so that means a lot to us. So it's not just something we do; it's kind of like a part of us, our identity. So we make sure to do the best possible that we can.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. So boots, boots, especially on firefighters. If your feet are happy, then typically the rest of you is happy. So let's break down that whole process and have you guys explain how your boots are made, the construction. Let's go from bottom to top. Send it, man.
Sure. Okay, send it. And then I'll do it, and then I'll pass it on to Will. Here. Let me guess where we can start. We'll just go from the uppers, I guess. So just like it's what we call it's oil tan leather. So the thickness that we use is 8 to 9 ounce oil tan leather. Obviously, USA tanneries and whatnot, and then just going down the whole upper portion. A lot of the terminology we use, some guys might not know, but that portion that wraps around your toe is called the vamp, and then the part that's around your heel is called the counter. So that's kind of like the upper part, the rough out and smooth stuff, and that's all oil tan, 8 to 9 ounces, the thickest leather that actually you can build boots with, and that's what we use. Obviously, all USA tanneries and stuff, and even down to the hardware that we use, the nickel, the brass eyes and hooks. It's comes here from the States. It's typically brass, and sometimes you can get creative. Guys will order nickel or antique brass or whatever, and we offer that and stuff. And then I guess keeping going down in the boot, there's something called the insole in there. It's an oak tan leather insole. It's called a 9-iron thickness. It's great. It works well. And then also we have what's called the midsole. That's that middle layer already going in the boots. Same thing. It's oak tan leather. All comes from United States tanneries. And then you've got the outsole. So there's two portions there. What we call a rubber slip, right in between the outsole and the midsole. It's that layer in there. And then we've got the outsole. So Vibram outsoles. And for years, for many years, Vibram's just been the best in the business. And
it's pretty much
so
the industry standard. Pretty much.
Right, exactly. I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to use Vibram. They're just the best, and so that's what we put on there too. And any guys who have our boots, they know that we offer different kinds of options. There's different kinds of soles. You've got for firefighters. Obviously, there's the classic, red X one. It's pretty simple to figure out which one that is. It's black and it's got a red X on the bottom.
That's your NFPA rated Vibram sole, right?
Right, that's right. That's the NFPA one. And then a typical one, classic one we see too, is the honey sole. And as interesting as it is, a lot of fire guys have been getting that one lately, and they all love it. I can't say I've heard a bad thing about it. They all really like it, and so that one's getting pretty popular too. Even though it's not the official NFPA standard, it is popular, and guys really like it. It's soft, comfy, grippy. So that's just a short rundown of our boots there. And then obviously we use for our fire boots, NFPA thread. It's called Technora. It has like no melting point, so it's
So
you,
it's
you won't be burning.
solid. You can be standing in the ash
Oh,
pits for days and it won't melt.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Leather shanks, not steel. I've heard horror stories of guys who have steel shank boots and they'll be out fighting fire, and they'll have to stand in buckets of water because their feet are burning, from the steel shanks. So we make sure to use leather all the way through, so that problem's not there.
Well, that's the thing, man. If you're standing in like an ash pit and you're working on a tree with a saw, and you have steel shanks in your shoes or in your boots rather, dude, you're gonna get second degree burns on your feet. So, yeah, steel shanks are a no to go.
Yeah, you're experienced, so you know exactly. Yeah, so everything in the design is thought about, like who's gonna be wearing them. So we don't build them just to build them. We build them for the guys that are gonna wear them, and it's the whole design is built around those boys out there. So that's what it's about, making sure that the guy out there in the field has something they can rely on and depend upon. I've heard all kinds of stories. Guys will be out for 14-day rolls and whatever. They sometimes out for 21 days, and to have your boots go bad is probably one of the worst things that can happen.
Well, yeah, especially when they're so expensive, man. If your boots go tits up and you don't have a backup and you're on the way to a fire assignment, well, let's be frank here, you're kind of fucked. So.
Yeah. A lot of our guys carry 2 pairs, and so absolutely. Just they always have a backup, and so boots is a big deal, and we go above and beyond to make sure that when they're out there and they can be confident and not have to worry.
So you guys, now your boots are made 100% in America?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so everything's sourced, made, assembled right here in the good old USA, huh?
Yeah, Will, I don't know. Do you want to answer that? Yeah, I'll hop on here. Hey, my name is Will, and I'm one of the brothers here too. And I'll take this one, Brandon, because I actually order all this stuff. So man, my computer is just filled with all this info. Basically, yeah, like Tim was saying, our leather comes from Milwaukee, and it's actually one of the last but really, really good tanneries left that's around. But it is a little more on the expensive end, but the quality you can't beat it, you can't match it. So we get all our leather from there, and that's all raised. That's cows that are raised in the U.S. They're processed here and they're tanned here. So everything happens here. So that's one thing we're really proud of. It's a little tougher on us, a lot tougher. But if we don't have that, we don't really have anything. So that's all in the U.S. Same thing with our, like Tim was saying, the midsoles, insoles, all that stuff right here, man.
No shit.
Everything's in the good old U.S. of A.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So everything's made in the USA. It's a smaller company. It's a family-owned business. See, this is the stuff that I didn't realize. This is the kind of behind-the-scenes action that like no one really realizes, and I think it's important that you guys get that out. Because I think a lot of the a lot of the firefighters out there, I think they'd appreciate that a lot more.
They do. We see that all the time. Every day we have guys calling saying, "Hey man, we appreciate you guys." We have guys saying, "Hey, we just want to support a smaller business, a local business," and we respect that so much because it's huge. Like we really respect and all the other companies. In my opinion, we have really good relationships with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one. It's not like the industry here it's really cool. Like everyone is really cool with each other, and at least for us, from our side, I know personally a lot of the people all over, even in some other companies, and we just keep a really good relationship. It's not like a dog world out here at all. Everyone is really cool. But with that said, if a guy calls me and starts complaining or something like that about somebody else, I'll never feed off of that. I just say, hey, we respect everybody, but we do what we do. And one thing that they have said time and time again is that they really do appreciate the fact that it is small, like you were saying, like Tim was saying. And so, yeah, it is smaller and it's a little bit tighter here. It's harder to kind of keep things, all under your pen, but we do it and we manage it, and it is growing. We've seen a lot of traction, especially this last 2 years. We've definitely been getting a lot more on the map, and there's just so many more guys out there so many more of our boots that are just out there, and it's really cool. It's exciting.
So on average, with that being said, on average, about how many boots do you guys pump out to firefighters per year, you think?
That's a great question. That is the one thing that we don't talk about, just because between all the boot companies, it's kind of competitive in that sense. So that is the one thing we don't really talk about too much.
Can't give away your trade secret, huh?
Trying to get me all at once, Brandon.
Hey man, I said we're gonna send it on the show, so.
Hey, you can even come over here, man. We'll put you to work a little bit too, my friend.
Hey man, I get laid off for 6 months out of the year, man. I might take you up on that offer there.
Come on, if you're gonna be in the back end, you'll see all of our secrets here. You'll know everything. So, as long as you don't give it all away.
That'd be cool, man. I definitely appreciate taking a tour of your facility. That'd be pretty bitchin'. Just to see, I've always been curious to how boots are actually made. So, I mean, it's no easy feat. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes in there, and I understand that you guys exclusively, well, maybe not exclusively, but you guys do pretty much mostly custom boots, right?
Yeah, we like to do custom boots. We've been doing stock boots too, but I mean, custom is really good. The thing about custom, it is important to have a really good fitting pair of boots, because a lot of times guys will get some that doesn't fit right, and they just struggle a lot. So, yeah, we do definitely like to say that we specialize in custom. Like, there's a lot of super custom things that nobody else can do that we can do, and that's hugely in part to our dad, John. He's a master, and he's even here in our area, he is like the guy. Like, if there's there's, for example, there's actually a really cool thing that kind of went down with us here, is that there was a veteran that it was really unfortunate. He actually lost half of his foot, and no one else in town could build him a pair of boots, and we were literally his last stop. And lo and behold, my dad was able to fit him up, measure him, and the things that we did in the boot making process to make it work was just crazy. It's like, I mean, it's very, very difficult to do. So, yeah, my answer would be definitely we do specialize in custom. We have been, though, like I said, we have been building a lot more stock boots. Some guys are very average foot. They don't have anything going on, which, is awesome, too, because it's ready to go. Plus, if your pair just blew out, or who knows, heck, you got stolen or something, I don't know, whatever,
Dude, people steal fire boots, man.
Dude, you'd be surprised. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but people do. It's so not cool. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who freaking steals a pair of boots? It's like, first off, it has to fit you, but yeah, if you see a guy out there on the line with a pair of boots that's flopping around on his feet, that's not his pair of boots, man. You gotta take that guy down. But
yeah, there's definitely some like loners or something, or they're stolen.
About doing GPS in all the boots, Brandon, just to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah.
What's that? I'm sorry, you broke up there.
I said we're thinking about doing GPS trackers in all the boots just to make sure, like a Find My iPhone thing,
There you go, Find My Boots. You download an app on your phone.
Yeah, so that's the idea. So hopefully it works. We'll see.
Jesus, man. So speaking of like boot buildings and blowing out your boots or anything that happens to your boots, what do you guys have for like a warranty process, or what do you guys do for rebuilds? Let's just cover both those subjects, because I know you can rebuild a lot of boots, and most of the people in the industry offer a pretty sizable warranty. So what do you guys offer as far as that? What's like your protocol there?
Yeah, so Tim will take this one.
So typically, absolutely. So we have like what we call like a manufacturer's warranty. So if anything on our end kind of is wrong, some sort of mistake, obviously we take care of that. We cover you completely. And a lot of times guys will give a call and they snag something, whatever, they made tour, whatever, something happened. We're really easy to work with, and you'll get either one of us when you call anytime. So a lot of times we're just send them in. We can patch it up real quick. We'll send it back. We're just out to help you out, especially around this time of the year. A lot of guys are in like really tough spots. They just need their boots ASAP. So we'll go the extra mile just to help you out and just get done what we can.
when it comes to resoles and rebuilds, that's pretty standard. You wore down the soles, you got to get them changed, and you got to get it changed in time. If you're a firefighter and you listen to this, make sure you don't wear down your boots till they're just dead before you send them in for a resole. Send them in, in the appropriate time, because it's a lot easier to save them. And sometimes they're so worn down, we got to rebuild them. So a rebuild is when you tear them totally apart, the only thing left is that part that wraps around your calf, the upper, and it's pretty much like a brand new boot. So we inspect everything when we get it in. And a lot of times guys will just send me photos and shoot me a text with a picture. Hey, what do we got to do here? So that's kind of how our warranty process works and whatnot. But yeah, pretty simple. Not a lot of code, not a lot of fine print.
That's pretty cool, man. So when all right, this is might be a dumb question because I just don't know the process from your guys' end. But
Sure.
Say you buy something with a logger heel on it,
Sure.
which over the years I can't stand them anymore. Say you have an old pair of boots and you want to get them rebuilt and you want to change up the heel. Do you guys have the leeway to do that?
To just change the heel to make it lower, like something like that?
Yeah, make it like a flat, like say you want the whole sole flat. Because I know that's
Absolutely.
a big toss-up, like with a lot of people. It's like either A, you go logger heel, or you go mid-rise, or you go flat.
Yeah, totally. That's not a big deal at all. No problem. And sometimes guys will say that. Hey, they'll say, the logger heel it's a little too high for me. Yeah, no big deal. We can lower it. And yeah, absolutely. That's no big deal at all. Piece of cake.
Not a big deal at all, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're a low heel guy, huh?
I'm a low heel guy, man. For some reason, dude, it's either if you have like the logger heel on it, it seems like you're sacrificing your ankles at that point, like hiking up and down, hills and shit. You're either sacrificing, you got two choices. You're either sacrificing your ankles or your knees. And my knees are much more stable than my ankles, so I hate rolling my ankles. And dude, low heel all day.
Every guy's different, absolutely. And so I like to just, hey, what's your experience? Ask the guy, excuse me, what do you prefer, and then we'll just go from there. So that's not a big deal at all. Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome, man. All right, so let's get into some of the burning questions here.
Sure.
Pun. Yeah.
So
right? But So proper care and maintenance, dude. Run me down, because everybody's got their own style.
Oh yeah.
Everybody takes care of their boots differently.
Absolutely.
So I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Oh, you got it.
How do you take care of your boots? Like, what's the best way to do it?
Oh boy. Okay, so it's real simple. It's not rocket science. I always tell guys, just if you're gonna be wearing them, every day, you're going through the season and whatnot. I like to say once every 3 weeks, maybe once a month, just put a good coat of oil over them. Clean them off from the dirt best you can. Sometimes guys will say, "Can I just hose them down?" Yeah, you can, just a little bit. Just try to get the mud off from whatnot, and then just put a good coat of oil over them. It's a good thing you bring this up. A lot of times guys will, really oil the spots that shouldn't be. So, a lot of times guys will oil like the eyelets and the hooks, and then, they'll be lacing their boots up, and the eyelets and hooks will start to get loose. So avoid doing that. Don't oil the hardware. There's no need to oil the leather base or the heel or the sole. You're just oiling the leather toe, the heel, up the calf, up the sides, maybe up the back, and that's it. Just a light coat. No big deal. It's pretty simple. And I get this question a lot too about rough out. Sometimes guys will ask me about rough out.
That's one thing for me too, dude, is like rough outs. Like, I was always like kind of concerned about. I was always told to oil the inside of rough outs and brush off the outside of the rough outs, and that's all I wear is rough outs. So.
Sure. Yeah, no, I always say, the same thing, just what we've seen. Just you can treat it the same as smooth. If anything, I feel like rough out is sometimes even easier to keep clean because, you get something on there, you just get a bristle brush it right out, it pops out, easy peasy. So, yeah, treat it the same as the smooth. You can oil it just the same, no difference. And I'm just talking from what I've seen and, from what we see with our boots and whatnot. So, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so don't oil, what'd you call that again? The spot between like the Vibram sole and the actual boot? That's the shank, you said?
Right. So like, like the where the midsole is, so right there in the edge, that edge area,
that area. Do not oil that area, because a lot of times the oil will start to seep through that leather, and then the oil and the stitching, all the adhesives right there, it doesn't mix well, and so a lot of times guys' boots will separate, and it's because they're just drenching it so much in oil, and the oil kind of eats away all that stuff. So yes, stay away from that area, and stay away from oiling like the eyelets and the hooks too, because oil will get in those grommets and stuff and start to loosen them up over time, and that's just a nightmare. So yeah, absolutely, just you want to go the sides, the toe, the heel, the top of the toe. That's all.
And that's it, huh?
Yeah, not a lot to it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, like all right, I'm I'm gonna approach this with a little bit of care, but say you have like an older pair of boots and you have the front of the boot. You have the rubber part, the Vibram sole. That you have the sole coming off. It's kind of like delammed from that. Can you stick a screw in there and staple it back together to like make it work until you guys can rebuild them?
If you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I don't see a problem there. I might, as long as you don't get your foot. Yeah, just like Will said, as long as you don't get your foot. Yeah, absolutely. There's no problem there. Do what you can until you can get them into us to work on them or something. But yeah, there's no issue there. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll hop on here too, Brandon. One cool thing about the fire boots, the way that they're built, is that they're glued, then they're stitched, and then they're screwed. So at least that's the way that we build them. Some boots are glued only, and then other boots. I mean, most boot manufacturers don't even really stitch the boots. The stitching that we do, though, it locks actually on the inside of the boot. So it locks when the stitching goes from the top and the bottom. The lock is happening in between the midsole, and right in that area. So as the sole is wearing, basically the durability isn't being compromised. So that's a really cool thing about how those lock together. But like Tim was saying, you do want to stay away from oiling the edge of it, but you can pretty much oil it everywhere else. And kind of a funny thing, we had a guy once, he just wanted to really, really do a good job of oiling his boots, and he kind of
dumped it in a 55-gallon vat of Obanoffs.
There it is. You said it.
He overdid it. Yeah.
But I think the goal was to do an extra good job of oiling, but that actually hurts the boot. The inside is not meant to be oiled.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking inside, I mean the inside, like insole, where your foot is sitting. That part's not meant to be oiled. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind. You don't want to oil the inside of the boots, but everywhere else where you see leather, you oil them. And also, like a rule of thumb, is a lot of guys ask how often. And like Tim was saying, you want to keep it around 3 weeks. But if you start feeling that it's when you feel your boots and you start feeling oil on your fingertips, then that's already too much. You want to stop. If in the morning you put your boots on and it's a little dry to the touch, kind of feels like paper, then that's when you want to oil them. So it's kind of a balance. Everybody's different.
Gotcha. Okay, so now what about like your pinch points? You like say around where that flexion point is in the ankle there. That's always and I guess around the toe cap too. Those are always like high abuse areas. Do you want to hit those extra? Because eventually you'll start getting like little cracks in there. It'll start looking like, I don't know, like there's little cracks that form on those, and that's any pair of boot that you're gonna get, regardless of the manufacturer. Sure. Do you want to take any special care of that, like that particular area?
No, I wouldn't say so. You just need to oil it. That's it. But there's nothing extra you can do. Wear is wear. They're not steel. They're still leather. It's still gonna wear. It's not indestructible. As much as it'll hold up better than other things, it's still not indestructible. So wear is gonna happen, and you just got to be okay with that. That's the good thing about them, is that you can resole them and rebuild them. But there's nothing extra that you can do. One thing that happens often is the guy will just not oil them at all, and then they dry so much.
They dry rot.
Exactly. So then if you oil them after they're already all dried up, it's kind of useless at that point. So it's really not complicated, man. You just oil it. That's it. That's literally all you have to do. And especially when you get your new boots, you can oil them once, and then they're going to break in a lot easier. Even in those flex points that you're mentioning, like in the toes, it's just going to break in so much easier. And you do have to, leather does stretch here, a little bit here and there, and it breaks in, and it really just forms to your foot. So it's just a really nice kind of setup that you have. It's like you can't go wrong. If it's a little bit here, a little bit there, it's going to break in. It should fit really well.
Okay. Now, is there like a particular product that you would recommend using? Because I know you have like a more of a liquid base oil, and then you have like a more waxy type oil. What would you recommend using?
So we like a company called Obanos. We recommend those guys. They do a really nice oil. The two most common kinds that you're talking about is that it's called an LP.
Yeah, leather preservative.
Yeah. That one's more like wax, exactly like you're saying. And then there's the liquid oil. I definitely prefer the liquid oil, at least in the beginning, because it helps soften up the leather, especially during the break-in process, a lot more. And it really, really just does a good job of keeping it, keeping it like fresh and not being dry. That said, the LP does a good job too. What I would recommend is you could switch on and off. I would start with the liquid, and then go to LP, and then go back to liquid. It works really well. A cool little trick you could also do is you could actually get the LP, and you could even grab like a blow dryer, for when you're off of your roll and you're ready to kind of maintain your boots a little bit. You can get a blow dryer even and heat it up, and the LP will kind of seep into the pores of the leather a little bit better. So if you really want to go the extra mile, you can do that, and the wax kind of just seeps in because it melts and it really goes in to the fibers of the leather. So also, if a guy needs to get them a little more waterproof than usual, that's a good little technique too. So that's a little tip.
Speaking of waterproof, man. All right, so you saturate your boots out on the line. You're stomping through a river or something like that. I know that the drying process can kind of damage your boots. What would you recommend for, say, your boots are just full of water? You walk through a river, or you're working up in Alaska or wherever. You practically have trench foot. How do you dry out your boots? What's the best way?
So if they're totally drenched, the first thing I would do is get a dry rag and just rub them down. You'd be surprised how much water that'll take off right off the get-go. Second thing, I would dry them either at room temperature or slightly above. Do not
high heat. Not high heat.
Do not put them on like next to a fire. That's gonna destroy your boots. And that's happened a lot. I think guys just don't know. They just begin to warp because when leather gets wet and then there's a lot of heat applied, it will warp and it will change shape. It will change size. It's just a nightmare. So keep it away from the fire if it's wet. If you're in them and you're on the fire, it's not as big of a deal. But we're talking if they're off your feet, that will really ruin your boots. And then right after that, you do want to oil. I would oil them
right away.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So there you guys have it. What? Oh, go ahead.
And that's also one of the big reasons why guys have to have, they rotate pairs also because, sometimes their boots are wet and sweaty or whatever, and they need to dry them off.
Okay. All right. So perfect segue. Now that we've talked about maintenance, we're going to answer the most commonly asked question. So listen in, guys. Okay, Tim, Will, how do you break in your boots? What is the best way?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a fun. Here we go, Brandon.
All right. Let's hear it.
Ready? I just said it. You just wear them.
Just wear them.
Like yeah, just like that. It's that simple. A lot of times I'll hear guys, say, "Oh, I fill them full of water and then just wear them out." That is the worst. That is the worst idea. That's so bad. It's so bad. You'll start to rot them from the inside out by doing that. It's a terrible, terrible idea.
That, and if they shrink, you're gonna beat the shit out of your feet if you go on a hike afterwards.
Exactly, 100% right. Oil
you can oil the ankle area just to kind of soften them up, or maybe there's a certain hot spot, whatever. But you can just oil them up a little bit, but just wear them in. And I say this about our boots. I can't speak for the other guys, but we have a really easy break-in. Almost little to no break-in, just because I feel like we do such a good job building them. The break-ins are real simple, and sometimes I feel that if you're taking 3, 4, 5 weeks or something to break in a pair of boots, I just think they don't fit you right, man. You got to get a different set. So that's what we say. Really simple. There's no secret crazy trick or whatever. Just wear them, oil up the sides a little bit, maybe a certain hot spot, and that's it. There's no need to do any kind of filling them up with water, throwing them in the oven. You wouldn't believe some of the things I hear that people try to break their boots in faster. So yeah.
I've heard it all, man. I've heard people like pissing in their boots or filling them full of water, or I don't. This is no shit, dude. Like
that first experience right there.
I'm pretty sure these guys are like just playing like really mean jokes on their rookie seasonals, but yeah.
I haven't heard the pisses one yet. That's the first for me.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I keep telling people is like, all right, you know what? Your boots will be broken in. You just need to start early, and you need to start hiking in them, hiking distance, being in them for as long as possible, and then taking care of your damn boots. You take care of your boots, happy feet, happy you.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that saying where it's like the most valuable thing out there is your feet, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys.
Yeah, Sorry.
Oh, you guys make logger boots. You guys make lineman boots. You make fire boots. Do you guys make like even casual stuff too?
Yeah, sometimes. We'll do some casual stuff. Our main focus is definitely, the work wildland lineman style. But yeah, obviously, there's some casual stuff. We'll make up stuff for ourselves sometimes, or maybe someone will come in locally and they'll ask for us to put something together. Not a big deal. But yeah, definitely our focus is the work stuff. But we have some casual things as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's it, man. I mean, that's an excellent point, though, of why to go custom and not do an off-the-shelf boot. Break-in's easier, quality's better, it's handcrafted, and it's fitted right to your foot. I always recommend, man, hey, if you guys are going to be serious about wildlanding, you're going to make this like career, flip the extra coin for a custom pair of boots, because your feet and your back and your knees are going to thank you later.
Right. Yeah. Right. The value there is huge. There's so much more value than just $500 or whatever it comes out to. They're so valuable. They're going to keep you going. They're going to keep you reliable. You can depend on them. They're comfy. I really don't know of any other product or like any other style of boots that would last as long as a pair of handmade boots would, like ours. I just don't see anything else holding up to those conditions. Like even our boots, as tough as they are, I still see guys like just go like they just destroy them. You know what I mean? That's wild. Like there was a saw boss over in the San Juan Hot Shots, and I hope he's listening to this. And he sent me a letter. He put like 1,400 hours of overtime on his boots, which I guess is common, for hot shots during a crazy season.
That's one season, dude. That's one season.
That's crazy. And they were just like, they were just so beat up. And as good as they are, he just beat them up like crazy. And I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. So, I don't see anything else holding up nearly as close as something like our style of boots would. So there's so much value in having a custom pair of boots. They fit good, they last well, and obviously with us, we like to offer that also great part, like just good service. Like we're always here. I'm always texting guys and stuff, and they've got my cell numbers if they got questions during the season. I'm always answering texts and Facebook messages and all that stuff. So we try to be good there too, and make sure that we're around, so guys can contact us and it's easy to get a hold of us, and it's simple, just people.
That's good though. I mean, it shows too, because shit, man, I just like hit you up on Instagram like one day. I was like, hey man, you want to be on the show? And you're like, hell yeah, let's do this. So
yeah.
I mean, even something random like that.
And that's one thing that we've enjoyed so much, being a part of the wildland community. If we, is just that guys here, they're so chill, and it's just guys, man. It's just dudes. And it just like I think it's just because we relate so much in that sense, not in our field of line of work of what we're doing, but it's like the culture
we're just a couple guys. So if you're happy, I'm happy. If I'm happy, you're happy. Vice versa. If you're not happy, well, crap, man. Why? Let's figure it out. Let's be fair. There's always a way to talk it through. One of my, I think my only biggest frustration is when, maybe it's like a customer service thing. I'll just be pretty honest. Is I think when people don't see things the way you do, in the sense that someone either wants to take advantage of you and they're trying to use like this Walmart customer service mentality, and it's like, hey, I get it that I'm a company, but at the same time, we're just people as well. So that's been one of the things too that I've enjoyed, just being at least part of the wildland community, is that, man, the guys here are awesome guys. I mean, everybody. I mean, if you've already been, you've had a good amount of seasons in to your career, then you're definitely already affected by that culture, and they're just cool guys. So that's one thing we've really enjoyed being a part of this thing.
See, that's a good thing, man. A lot of people will appreciate it that you're keeping it real, though. That's super important, because for the most part, firefighters hate the super corporate bullshit. No one likes that, man. Some people like tolerate more than others, but the type of personalities that we typically attract, we don't really put up with it, man. We'd rather relate to people like you guys.
Yeah, same for us. Some like it's funny. Like if you were to see, that's why Brandon, I'm gonna be waiting for you to come over here, man. But you'll see sometimes, some of the messages and things like that we get. It's so rare. It's like literally 1%. It's like a 1%ers. We call them the 1%ers, but they're just so far off in their own world, and their demands are ridiculous. And I don't know what it is. It's like I said, it's like this Walmart mentality where people just don't respect the fact that there's also people working on the other end, and decisions being made, and sometimes sometimes a mistake is made. It's not the end of the world. We always, there's always something to do. There's always a way to fix a situation.
You guys make it right.
Yeah. The goal is for a working relationship for the future. The goal is like for 6 months down the road, for you to be like, dude, I'm so happy. These are awesome boots. Go get a pair. If that's not happening, something's wrong. Like, let's figure it out. I even had, like, recently, I had someone, for example, just give me a complaint, and it's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. And then they mentioned that someone else was complaining, and our instant reaction is like, okay, who? Because we know all of our customers by name. So if that guy is not happy with our boots, I'm gonna go find out why. That's why and we've had this happen multiple times, where someone will come and try and, in a way, kind of like, I don't know if you would word it, like blackmail me into trying to do something. And I'll just be like, hey man, so what's going on? And we actually reach out to that guy, figure out what's going on. We really care. We make sure he's happy, fix whatever issue he's having, and then we move forward. So that's, I think, one big thing that separates us, from the crowd, is that, and it's so easy to do in the wildland community, because guys understand, we're on the same page, cultures are the same. So that's one thing we've really enjoyed.
That's another thing too about wildland culture, is we realize that, a quality handcrafted item, it's not going to be a race to the bottom of, anything, whether it's customer service or price or anything like that. So we really appreciate that. And as long as everybody can be real and you pump out a good product, we mutually benefit each other. So I think that's important that you guys have that mentality, and it shows.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome, man. So as far as like the community goes, the wildland community, do you guys have any ideas about pairing up with like the Wildland Firefighter Foundation, or trying to get in touch with them, or any of these charity events that benefit them, like Hot Shot Up or the golf tournament down there in Prineville, or Rippin' Lips, or anything like that?
Yeah, we've thought about it. To be honest, we haven't really had anyone really reach out to us. But yeah, we're part of the community, so we're always open talking to guys. But if we're talking specific, like pairing up with a specific foundation, we're not paired up with anybody at the moment, and that's just because maybe it's just because we're a little bit newer on the map in the big sense. I don't know, but yeah, we're here. We're here to stay.
There you go, guys. Hit them up. If you guys got a charity event, hit these guys up. Hit up JK Boots, man. Tim and Will are gonna help you out.
That's right.
Hell yeah, man. Well, shit, guys. I think that's about the tie-in point. You guys got anything else to add?
I mean, other than this Brandon's gonna be doing a lot of podcasts in the future. This is going really. He's doing a really good job. Really good job. Really impressed.
Thanks, man. We only got one episode. Let's see how much of a shit show I can actually make this.
Yeah. You're gonna be the next Joe Rogan, man.
The Fire Joe Rogan.
Fire Joe Rogan.
I'm flattered. Thank you. Well, cool, man. Well, I think that's the tie-in point. So just for everybody that's listening, where can we find you on the socials and your website and everything?
Yeah, just everywhere you go, it's just JK Boots. So just jkboots.com. On Instagram, we're just JK Boots. Facebook, JK Boots, same thing. Just hit us up. You'll see. We've got tons of photos and stuff that you can look at. So absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
if you guys look them up, check out some of their beat-up ass boots that they have posted on there, the stuff that they did rebuilds on. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. Tim, Will,
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely. This was a pleasure. Yeah, really cool, man. This is a great thing. Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, I think that's the tie-in point. So thanks for listening, guys. JK Boots, go check them out at JK Boots, pretty much everywhere. So
Yeah.
Right on, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Later.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, see ya.
Later, man. All right, guys, there we go. JK Boots on the podcast, answering your questions about how they're made, how to take care of them, the maintenance, and the question of how to break in your boots. Guys, just wear them. Come on. It's not rocket surgery by any means. Don't over-oil them. Don't throw them in water and then dry them out in the oven. That's just absurd. And for Christ's sakes, don't piss in your boots. I don't know what Hotshot Soup decided to play a joke on the rookie and say, oh yeah, you should piss in your boots. That's a good idea. It helps you break them in, right? No. That's just cruel. It's a joke. Other than that, Tim, Will, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Next time I'm in Spokane, I'll definitely be hitting you guys up. We'll go grab a beer at that Irish pub by the university, for sure. Check us out on Spotify. We're live on there. They update pretty regularly. You can also check us out on www.acrepointpodcast.com for the most up-to-date RSS feed, and also on iTunes. You can swing by there. There is a delay though. It's about a 24-hour delay, but 24-hour delay between when we actually release the episode and it's reflected in the iTunes directory. So keep that in mind. It might be a little bit of a delay. But either way, if you guys stop by all of those, make sure to 1, subscribe, 2, write us a review. We really appreciate those 5-star reviews. Also, check us out on our socials at the Anchor Point Podcast. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Come by, say hi. And if you guys got a cool story or some interesting info, you run a firefighter-owned business, definitely hit us up. Slide into those DMs and tell us what's up. We'll see if we can get you on the show. We're open to suggestions. And yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Tune in for the next episode. Take care.